Thank you very much, Christine. Uh, so let us start the session. Hello, Salil. First of all, thank you very much for agreeing to come online, to come with us and have this session. So, to give you all a brief introduction about Salil. So, Salil, there's a background noise somewhere, I believe, from your end. So, if you can try,
Yeah, yes, I'll have it fixed. I'll have it fixed.
in the audio setting, you can find
Just
a
give me a minute.
okay. Great. While Salil come back to us, let me tell you that we have another session. The next session in this series of career talks is by a VC in Venture Highway, and the details will be shared with everyone by email. Please feel free to write to us where you're from, what do you do in the comment section, and please introduce yourself, maybe ask questions, whatever you want from the speaker. So, Salil, are you back? Okay,
Yes.
great, great,
All good
great.
with that.
So, Salil Otswal is a product manager at PayU. He was earlier with IndiaMart, and he is an engineering graduate. He did his MBA from IIT Kanpur, and yes, he's here with us to discuss about the techno managerial aspects of product management. So, product management is one of the highest paying, jobs in India, and has been aspired is one of the aspired jobs by graduates and postgraduates. So, Salil, won't take much of your time, and would give hand over the mic to you.
Sure, then. Sure. Thank you so much. Uh, okay, so I'll give a very brief introduction about myself. I graduated in mechanical engineering. After that, I worked in core manufacturing companies for a couple of years. So I was working right at the shop floor. And after that, I decided that manufacturing was not for me. So I moved to IIT Kanpur for a post graduation. And since then, I've been associated with IndiaMart as a product manager. Now, recently, last month, I've joined PayU. Okay. So at IndiaMart as well as at PayU, I've been associated with product management roles at both these places. Okay. So just give me 1 minute. Uh, Vedant, I'm very new to Zoom. How can I share my screen here? Can you just help me out with this?
Sure.
Vedant, hello?
Yes, on the bottom you'll find an icon which says share screen, maybe highlighted
I'm
with
not.
green number.
Just okay, just a minute. Just a minute. Settings, raise hand.
You can send me the file. I can
Yes, what I'll
share it.
do is yes. We'll do that. I'm sending that to you over Hangout. Okay?
Please. So while we cover that part, maybe let us start with the thing. Why did you choose product management for your career?
Yes. So I was when I went into IndiaMart when I joined IndiaMart as a product manager. Okay, the work seemed very exciting. Okay, it was very unlike what I was doing before. So, as a product manager, this can be a pro as well as a con. You usually have a very open ended sort of a problem. Okay. And then the real fun lies that how do you structure that problem? Okay. So, when I was at IndiaMart, now just for everyone's understanding, IndiaMart is a B2B e marketplace. Okay. So, what IndiaMart does is it simply connects buyers with sellers. After that, how now let's say you want to buy a music set or a guitar or something. Okay, So what IndiaMart does is it simply connects buyers with sellers. Now, when buyers are connected with sellers, unlike Amazon and Flipkart, IndiaMart is not into logistics. Okay, so we will connect the buyers with sellers and leave it at that. We won't, let's say, ship the material directly to whoever is buying it. So now let's say I'm a seller, you are a buyer. Okay. So what IndiaMart has done is IndiaMart has connected both of us. Now after that the payment aspect comes into the picture that you want to make a payment to me, but you don't trust me because you don't know me. All you know is कि हाँ Salil is listed on IndiaMart. Okay. So in order to bridge this trust deficit in which there is a buyer is worried that he might make a payment and not get the product. The seller is worried that he might actually sell something on credit. Okay. And then if he sells something on credit, if he sells something on credit, the money might not come to him later. Okay, so in order to bridge this trust deficit, we had come up with a problem which we call it as Pay with IndiaMart. Okay, so at IndiaMart, I was completely into fintech, and now since I already told that I had a background in mechanical engineering, so I did not know what a database is. I did not know what an API is when I joined IndiaMart. But as I got more acclimatized to this environment, as I started talking to the developers, coders, okay, things started moving. Things started moving, and it was very interesting. The work seemed very much the work seemed very interesting. It was open-ended problems, and the problem statements were means you actually had to talk to the customer to understand what his problem was. Okay, कि why is he not able to make a payment and things of those sorts. Vedant, have you received it?
Yes,
Just
I
in
have
case, I
received it.
thought I would check.
Yes, please. Uh,
Okay,
Let me share the screen.
okay. Yes,
Can you see the slide? Can you see the
yes, yes,
presentation?
yes, yes, Vedant.
Great. Let me know
Yes,
when
yes,
you
Vedant.
want me to switch. Or maybe you can give me a message or say it
Yes,
on.
please move. Please move ahead on it. Please move ahead. Vedant. Yeah. Okay. So this is what product management is in very, very basic terms. It lies at the intersection of UX, meaning user experience, tech, and business. Okay. So there is a business problem that you have to solve. There is a customer need that you have to fulfill. How do you fulfill that? You employ tech and you ensure that you deliver the best possible experience to the customer. Okay, this is what product management is in very basic terms, and this is how Atlassian is. Again, they are the creators, they are the producers of Jira, and Jira is one of the most widely, the most not one of the most widely used tool in product management. Okay, and they put it very crisply over here. It is an organizational function that guides every step of product's life cycle, from development to positioning to pricing, by focusing on the product. And more importantly, you're not creating the product for yourself, you're creating it for the end user, for the customer. So at all point in time, you have to empathize with the customer. Who is your customer? Is he a small business? If he's a small business, do you need a walkthrough? How complicated should your product be? And you have to make it as simple and to the taste of the one who is using it. Okay. Now, with respect to payments, now the customer, the user that comes on Amazon, the user that comes on Flipkart, he's a lot more tech savvy than the user that comes on IndiaMart, because IndiaMart, like I said, is a B2B. So you have mostly SME users that come on IndiaMart. So you have to design a payment experience that caters to such SME users. Okay, so I think that's the most fun part of product management, that you deal with a diverse set of users and then you put your brains into how this is what your problem is. So how do you solve it? Not everything that you work out or conceptualize is going to work. Okay, so now let's say you understand from the customer that now BNPL, buy now pay later, is the need of the day. Buy now pay later has taken a lot of traction. You see a lot of BNPL options everywhere. Okay, and then you keep an eye on the market as well. Acha, the customers are starting to prefer these options, and then you incorporate those options. But when you do that, you ensure that you give the best possible experience to the user. Okay, the user should not end up filling forms with fields that are unwanted. So if you already have that data or information of the user, you can pre-populate it. Okay, So the ultimate objective is you have to make the user's life a lot more easier. And once you do that, the KPIs start to reflect by themselves. This not. So again, reiterating it, it is at the intersection of user experience, tech, and business. Now you don't need to know to code. Okay, by tech you don't need to understand. You don't have to actually see the code base. Having a basic tech know-how though helps. Okay, with user experience you are not going to design UI UX screens, but you should at least have an idea of what sort of wireframes do you want. Okay, now zoom screen. Okay, now let's assume you are a product manager of Zoom, so you should be acha, where should the leave button be, what all features do I prefer for users of Zoom. Okay, and things of that sort. And business again, everything that is driven by user, that is driven by revenue, those are the prime KPIs, and that is what the business part is. Vedant, can you just move ahead? Yeah. So now I've tried to break this down in very simple terms. Okay, this is what my experience has been through both the organizations. Now at IndiaMart as well as PayU, I've been into payments at both places. Okay, so the first thing, my first problem set up when I went to IndiaMart was my manager came and told me, Salil, we are not seeing many transactions. You have to increase the number of transactions. Okay. So now when you increase the number of transactions, how do you do that? So you actually talk to the users and understand why are they not able to transact? Is it a problem in awareness? Do they don't know that there is a medium to transact? Or is it something that they are not able to transact because of lack of funds or some sort of issues? Or are they finding the journey very complicated? Okay, so you have to break this down. Ki, acha, haan. So if they are finding the journey very complicated, you have to make the journey a lot more simpler. If they are not aware, you have to promote your product. Okay, and while you promote your product, you have to ensure that it doesn't come off like an ad. Okay, it has to be that the user sees it. Okay, so the user sees it as a part of the flow. And if the user is lacking funds, so can you have BNPL options? Can you provide more credit based options? Okay, so all sorts of problem. But first you have to identify what the actual problem is. Why are the customers not transacting? Okay, once you do that, you then ideate the solution. Okay, now let's say the problem is your customers don't have cash in their bank balance. So you bring on more BNPL options. Now, how do you do that? You talk to a different payment gateways in the market. You see what all BNPL options are available. What are their offerings? Okay, which are those offerings that will suit to your customer? Okay, and as a product manager, you also have to go through the legal agreement. You have to have an idea of what the legal terms of the business terms of the agreement are. What are the legal terms of the agreement? Once you do that, then you integrate it, you define what the user experience is, and then you continue to iterate it. Means ki, what are the numbers? Acha, I've put in lazy pay. So what are the transactions that are coming? What is the success rate on lazy pay? And just keep on working that. Now once you ideate the solution, you are not going to write the code. Okay, but you should be able to have an idea what all APIs are you going to need, what are internal APIs, what all external APIs. Now APIs are simply means, what do we say, something that connects to databases. Okay, it takes information from some other database. And now let's say lazy pay. Okay, I put an option called lazy pay. Now, what LazyPay does is it gives you a credit limit based on your mobile number. So as soon as I enter the mobile number, it will tell me whether I'm registered or not. Okay, so that is what an API does. You pass a mobile number, the API will respond you whether you are able to register, whether you are registered already or not. Okay, now that implementation you have to visualize in your mind and on the paper as well, if possible. How do you want the screens to look like? How do you want the experience to look like? If he clicks on here, this will happen. If he clicks here, this will happen. How do you handle edge cases? Okay, and then on the tech part as well. In which column of the database do you want this information to be stored, and things of like that. This is not very tech involving. Okay, a very basic primary understanding of tech is more than sufficient. Now you visualize all the problem, but your developers they don't know it. Okay, so I think this is the most important part of a product manager's life, is that whatever solution he has conceptualized or visualized, he need to put it in very specific as well as very detailed terms to the tech. Okay, so whoever is the that tech team should be able to follow up with all the requirements. whatever the requirements are there for the product manager. Okay, so whatever the product manager has thought in his mind, he writes all that down in a ticket. That ticket is taken by the development team, and the development team further starts to work on that ticket. And then you get PRDs, that's the project requirement document. So you fill it, you mention all the business requirement, what is the expected impact, and all of those parameter. Then the developers will code and implement the solution. The testing team will test it, and once you get a go ahead from all of that, you ship the product. Okay, so you launch the product on production. So that is live for all the users. And once that is done, you continue to analyze what the impact is. Okay, so whenever you launch a feature, that the job is just half done. Whether the feature is performing up to the mark or not, how do you understand? That is where you have to analyze it, iterate for the improvements. Vedant, can you please move ahead? Yeah, again, matlab, these are something that I've drawn from my experiences. Okay, I'm sorry. So, what all are the very important skills of product management? Okay, so cross-function coordination. Now, as a product manager, you are not going to do everything by yourself. Okay, your main job is, like I said, you lie at the intersection of UX, tech and business. So you have to coordinate with all of those three major teams. Okay, you have to have a very basic tech understanding. Okay, so you don't need to code. You will never need to even see the database, code base or database. But if you know something like an SQL or basic, means it helps you to fetch all the data. Okay, basic UI UX skills. Okay, so there's a designing team at most places. We have a dedicated design team at PayU. They come up with the design, but even when they come up with the design, since the product is mine, I have to tell them, कि, अच्छा, हाँ, why is this design like this? Why cannot it not be like that? Okay, and I can get the design changed as than how I want it. Number crunching. Okay, yes, like I said, whenever you launch the feature, you have to continuously analyze all the number. You need to go at the root cause. If your product is not performing, it at what stage of the funnel is it not performing? Are the users not coming, or are they dropping off at step one, or are they dropping off at step two? Or where is the source of the problem? Product roadmap. Okay, now apart from the day-to-day job as a product manager, you need to have a strategic vision as well as to where do you see your product in a year or so, in a year or over a period of 2 to 3 years. Okay, so that is where roadmaps come into the picture. What are your plans for going ahead for the product? Okay, so where do you want to see your product and what all bandwidth do you need? Actually, you need so many tech guys to implement so many things, and you need to have a basic understanding of that. As a product manager, you will have many requirements come to you. सब लोग कहेंगे कि we need this button, we need the login feature to be made from Google, we need the Facebook login. Okay, so there are multiple requests there are multiple requests that are made to you. Okay, however, at that time it becomes very important to you, since this is your product, the ownership of the product lies with you. It is you who has to prioritize what is in the most interest of your users. Okay, like I said, user empathy. You should empathize with the user and the content of and the type of that user, the persona of that user, and storytelling. I think, yeah, this is one of the very underrated skills. Okay, so whenever you launch a product, you know what all you have done in the product, but you have to even inform the top management. Acha, we've done this. And if you write that in tech terms or in very specific jargonic terms, becomes very uninteresting. So you have to put all of that in a form of story. And even when you communicate with the developers, okay, so if you are a good storyteller, it helps a lot in product management, in my opinion. So yeah, this is all I think means I could actually draw from my experience. And yes, Vedant, means this is actually pretty much it. If there's anything else that you want to talk about, you can go on.
Sure, sure. I think this gives us
Vedant,
a
you are
good.
on mute, I think.
Sorry,
We cannot hear
can you
you.
hear me now?
Can
Hello, hello. Salil, can you hear me now?
yes, yeah,
Okay, great. I was saying that
yes, Vedant, I can hear you.
I think this gives us a good primer of what product management is. Although I believe we touched on some things that may or may not be relevant to a student, or those who are not in this field. So let us try to uncover things right from the start. So you said that there is a team of developers. You said there are designers involved. So uh, if 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 you already have teams, then can you please tell us what exactly is the role of a product manager, and why exactly was the need of a product manager?
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So, very good question. Now, like I said, we have developers. Okay. So, what developers do is whatever they are asked to code, they will write that in the code. Okay. So, if I tell them, if I ask them to do something, they'll do something. What do designers do? Again, I tell them ki, Acha, this is how I want the screen to look. They will make a perfect screen. But as a product manager, whether the product grows or not, that is actually my responsibility. Okay, now let's come. Now let's assume that I'm a product manager of Zoom. I'm a product manager at Zoom. Okay, so if I tell people at Zoom that there are now there are background filters and whatever features are there in Google Meet or let's say at Teams. Okay, so there are different features over there. So what I can do, what I have to do as a product manager is, it is my job to ensure that Zoom does better than Teams and Google Meet. Okay, I offer a better user experience. What my tech team will do is how I feel the best user experience can be given. Okay, I'll put those requirements, and the tech team will they will actually simply put in their logic, and they put in their logic and brains to create that requirement. Okay, to actually build that product. Okay, but end of the day, the entire ownership of the product, whether the product does well or it does not do well, okay, that lies with me as a product manager. So when I was at India Mart, if the payments used to go up and down, that is not my development team's concern prima facie. Okay, they are more concerned that the product should be, they develop what I tell them to develop. But what I tell them to develop, that I should be very sure of ki, ha, if this thing is developed, the product will do well. Okay, so as a product manager, I think I have to prioritize a bit. Prioritize, and I have to decide. Since this is my baby, this is my product, I have to decide how do I go about it.
So essentially, product manager is someone who, and correct me if I'm wrong here, product manager is someone who takes care of the business problem, what problem to solve, how to solve, and get it done through different members of the team, whether it is development team,
Yes,
design,
yes,
or so. Okay, great.
yes, yes.
So, Salil, can you please tell us a little about the types of product management role available in the market?
Okay, yes. So there are generalist product manager roles, there are business product manager roles, there are growth product manager roles, and there are tech product manager roles as well. Okay, so I'll give a very brief about all of that. Okay, now in as a tech product manager. Okay, so it implies in the name itself that you have to, you means your problem lies in deciding what the architecture of the product will be, how the product will work. It is a lot more tech oriented, and a slightly less, and the focus on user is slightly less. It is more about how do you build the architecture. So that is, you have to have a solid background in computer science to be good at tech product management. After that, then there are business product managers. Okay, now as business product managers, your involvement with tech is very, very minimal. Okay, so as business product manager, let's say you are a business product manager at Amazon. Okay, so one of the things that you have to do is कि अच्छा हाँ, how do I get more sellers onboarded from the northern region or from the Delhi NCR region or from Himachal, means those areas or something of that sort. That is what means usually a business product management. That there's a bit of sales involved in that as well. And after that, then there are generic product manager role. That is something that I have been doing since. Okay, so in these roles, you don't need to know how to tech. Okay, this is not completely business based roles either. Okay, in that it is a mix and match of means you have to have an understanding of UI UX business as well as tech. So yeah, Vedang, means basically I think this is what it is.
Salil, I want to touch upon the last slide and want to understand what are the skills required. So, and uh, before we go to that, let us touch upon the topics that you mentioned, the parts of product management that you mentioned, business related tech. Maybe there are others as well. So, what exactly is your role, and I would like to understand what are the skill set or prerequisite required for someone to to do what you are doing.
Yeah. Okay. So again, means product management. The skills is required. I think they are very more means logical. It is not that much of hard skill for rocket science required. Okay. So like I said, okay, at India Mart, since I've joined PayU just a month back, I'll be drawing more upon my experience at India Mart. So what I required at India Mart was I had to had an idea. Key now I know that my transactions have been dropping. Okay, now I see a monthly report. My transactions have been dropping. Okay, so the next thing that I have to do is I need to go into the complete depth of it. Okay, so as a product manager, it is fine when your product does well or your product does not do that very means to your expectation. Okay, in that case, what you need to do is you should at least be 100% sure of your where your product has gone wrong. Okay, and in order to do that, you have to have a complete understanding of your product key, what is stored where. Okay, and that is something that whenever you join any firm, that comes over time. Okay, so you understand which all databases, which all tables, where is all the data stored. Okay, and after that, something that I've personally been emphasizing on, that I've been speaking directly with my users. Okay, and that's helped me a lot. So I've been speaking directly with, so you get to know from Google Analytics ki which are the users who clicked on your payment option but did not make a payment. So what you can do is you can simply call them up and ask them, so why did you not do the payment? Okay, and once you do that, once you make a survey of by calling some 6 7 people, you have a rough understanding of what is it that your product lacks. Okay, and once you get, that's the step, that's the job first, that's the job half done. And once you get, then you come up with a solution, you discuss and debate with your seniors, you debate and debate with your peers. Okay, and once you come up with a solution, then you just put it on paper. Okay, how do you want the solution to be implemented? You raise requirements with different teams, and you have to, again, like I said, you have to cross functionally coordinate with all those teams. Now the KPI of the development team and my KPI, they are not going to be completely aligned. Okay, so I have to convince them, see how, why is this so very important, and how you can convert numbers. Okay, so you can project, if this is done, you can get this much business, the company can get this much business or this much revenue if there's something particular feature is implemented. So you have to do that convincing to them, and ensure that they take up they take up the project as per your timelines, and they deliver upon it, and you keep a track of the project ki, where's the product, okay, so has which phase it is at, when will it be launched, and so on and so forth. And once this is done, it should, again, in means this is company could always come out of means from this should always prompt you कि, अच्छा, हाँ, I've launched this last week, how has it been performing. So you again go back to see and see how is it performing. If it's performing good, well and fine. If not, then you again have to go back into the reasons to drawing board, why is it not performing, and you have to keep on working. I think that's the role of product manager. You have to continuously keep doing that.
So um, for starters who are who wish to get into product management, what is the first step, first role, the beginning role in this
Yes.
field?
Okay, so for since now means I got this role right out of the college. Okay, so the first thing is you can get this role means if you get this role out of the college. But again, I'll make this a lot more generic. I'll break this down. Okay, now whenever you want to, now let's say you want to become a product manager. Okay, so there's a company that comes into your mind, means such I want to be a product manager. Let's say at Google. Okay, so what do you do is there are many applications that go into that. Okay, so multiple people, product management is again means product management. The demand for the roles are very high, and the demand for the roles is very high as well. So people usually keep on applying. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to actually build a product deck yourself. Okay, so that will make your application stand out from others. Okay, now let's say you are now let's say somebody is a product manager, somebody wants to become a product manager at Google. What you can do is you can directly identify what are the problems at Google right now. Let's say you come to Gmail. What are the problems that we see with Gmail right now? Okay, how can you make Gmail a better place for people to mail? Okay, and once you do that, you make a product then. Acha, there's this. So I will make this. I will launch this product, and you can share a PPT or something of that sort, and you can share that along with your resume. Okay, so that helps you build a portfolio. Okay, of the products, and it shows to the hiring manager as well that you are very very interested. Other than that, there are a few books. Okay, so you can again means you can get into those books. You can read those books on product management. There are multiple books. Okay, and you can get a hang of what product management is. And again means you have to ensure that you have a very good you have to have you have a very good resume, you have a very good LinkedIn profile. Okay, and you are very very sure as to why you do you want to be a product manager. I think that's the very most important part. And once you're sure why you want to be a product manager, I think the other things they will start to follow. You build a portfolio, you build a product deck, you decide कि अच्छा हाँ, this is the startup that I want to apply to, and you apply to that startup. Okay, and yeah, and once you get into the role, then the ride becomes a lot more interesting.
Hmm. So, can we talk a little about the type of projects or internships that one should pursue in their college days so that it gets easier to get into product management?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I think there are a lot of product means if you are active on LinkedIn in your college days, okay, you can see a lot of product internships. Okay, so as college students, if you are trying for internships, I think you can try mostly for product means you can work with product managers. Okay, there are many companies I know, India Mart for sure offers internship, PayU offers internship. So what you need to do is you need to figure out all those firms by sure that you're gonna get an internship. And you have to again when you're pitching yourself to them, just make sure that your resume means you have a product offering for them. It makes it stand out. And other than that, you can even apply for product analytics roles. I think since this is internship, product analytics also gives a very good insight. Just okay, so you can product analytics roles. Okay, so product ownership roles, project manager roles. Now there are multiple roles, so you can work with project managers, with product analysts as an internship and try and see what they are doing. Build up your resume likewise, and you can mean a very easy thing is you can directly approach people. Means if you want to intern in an XYZ company, you can approach product managers in that company. Okay, but whenever you do that, ensure that the LinkedIn message that you send to them, that is very detailed. Okay, means not very detailed in the sense that is very crisp, and it tells them ki why they should consider you. Okay, so it should not be a very generic message ki I am interested in returning with you. It can be I'm interested in returning with you. I've seen these products, and what I see from your product is these all things can be built. So it gives an impression to the reader that you are very serious about your application. Okay, and it stands you apart from the others who are applying for the same role. Yeah, Vedant, that's I think pretty much it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And uh, so you you mentioned a couple of things about coordinating with developers, and so I would like to understand, are there any technical skills required, or if there are any, what are those technical skills required to get into product management?
Yes. Like I said, I had a mechanical engineering background. Okay, so means as far as computer science was concerned, I did not have many coding skills. So you don't have to code anywhere. Okay, if you don't know much of tech, you will still do very well. Okay, so technical skills are not required as much. However, as you start working, you grasp the basic technicalities that are needed for your product. Okay, so if you want to means have a new payment option, you'll know कि अच्छा हाँ, to have this option I need this API. Okay, or so basically as you start working, you get to understand those things. But there's no requirement, there's no specific requirement as such unless you are applying for a tech product management role.
Sure. And someone has someone has shared a question in the Q&A section, and I would invite others to write any question in the chat section or Q&A section, and Salil may answer that whenever he's comfortable. Salil, you mentioned about that technical skills are required only if you want to get into technical product management role. And
Yes.
are there any industry specific prerequisites, or basically I'm trying to understand what are the things that we can read or understand before trying to sit for a product management interview.
Yes. So I think rather than reading and understanding, of course, reading and understanding is very, very helpful. But I think what is even more important is that you are a lot more observant. Okay, now in today's times, you anyway use so many applications. Okay, we buy from Myntra, Amazon, we buy tickets on like
Salil,
Mindtrip.
your mic is causing some problem, I think.
Can you hear me better now? Is it better?
Yes, it is better.
Okay, so we are dealing with many applications right now, like Make My Trip, in to go about a day-to-day life, Grofers, Big Basket, etc., etc. Okay, so you have to just be observant. Ki what have they done? Okay, what have they actually means? Acha, you like something a lot. Now, one of the most impressive features on a Gmail is, in my opinion, whenever you write the word attachment and you click on send, it prompts you. Ki, acha, ki you've written attachment, but an attachment is not but an attachment that is not actually attached to your mail. Okay, now that is something that was very impressive for me. Okay, so in your day-to-day life, whenever you are on the internet, whenever you look around, you have to be very observant and try to take things. Okay, now if you are making, now since I am into payments, whenever I'm making a payment for anything, see it very carefully if that payment means how the payment experience is. And if I found the experience very nice, I think, yes, yeah, why cannot I have something similar built in my product as well? Okay, this, and of course, I think means this is very important. And you can, of course, there are a lot more tutorials, there are a lot more YouTube videos, LinkedIn influencers that you can follow to get into product management.
Can you suggest some courses
Do we need?
or
Yes. So there's this person Shravan Tekku. Okay, so he has a Swagwala PM YouTube channel. Okay, so I suggest that to everyone. It's a very nice used YouTube channels, and he has broken down product management, I think, very nicely in those YouTube channels. He makes the classes very interesting. So follow Shravan Tikku, and means maybe his YouTube channel means Swagwala PM. And you can even follow Sony Xiaomi. There are few people on LinkedIn. Okay, so I'll share a list with you later if you want. Okay, so they keep on posting updates about product management, and if you follow them, those updates will start coming into your feed. Okay, and you'll learn a thing or two from them as well. So if you want to get into a tech company, like, do we need coding skills for sure? No. You don't need coding skills at all. Okay, so I think this is asked by Rohit. Rohit, we don't need coding skills at all. Okay, so you don't. No one will ask you to code as a product manager. Okay, so you'll be just fine without coding skills. How to switch career in product management from research analyst? Raj, like I said, if you're switching careers, okay, first of all, start with some basic courses on product management. Get a more in-depth understanding of what product management is all about. Then build a portfolio. Okay, portfolio should be a proper PPT or a doc or whatever format you like. Okay, so key, what is it that you'd like to build as a product manager? Okay, and that once you do that, you can start applying to different companies, giving interviews, and again means reach out to people. So if you want to go to specific company, reach out to the product managers at that company. Okay, people on LinkedIn are fairly approachable, so you can directly talk to them and they might help you out. Sir, could you repeat? Okay, so I write it down. Shravan, take, yeah. Yes, sir, you're right. So
Salil, can you please tell us a couple of common interview questions that are being asked in product management interviews?
yes. So one question that was very common is, what is your favorite application? Okay, And once you tell, now I told my favorite application was Gmail. The next question is, what is it that you like about that application? And after that, what is it that you can do to improve upon that application? What can you build over that application? Okay, so I think this is a very common application which is your favorite app. Okay, so since you are means we are so much into apps and mobiles day in and day out, so they are surely going to means I think this is a very fairly common product management question. And other than that, it's means they can give you case studies and questions on the spot questions, on the spot problem statements. Okay, so like just for example, a problem statement can be you are a product manager for Uber. Okay, and there are two riders and you only have one driver. Okay, so how do you decide which rider should be provided with the ride? Okay, because you can only cater to one rider, so you again have to break this down. कि अच्छा, हाँ, how can I get more business for Uber, and you have to go so on and so forth. So these are the logical sorts of questions that will come your way.
Sure. And uh, are there any particular, set of projects or anything in particular that we should showcase during these interviews?
And I think not just during the interviews, even when you make application. Okay, now third, how to start as a fresher. Okay, so this is the same question that means we are discussing right now. Okay, any course suggestions, the certificates which we Achha, okay. So what I think is means you can do courses, okay, courses, but of course the certificates are helpful, but more than the certificates, actually what is helpful is what you've gained out of those courses. Okay, now like Vedang said, key something that will make your profile more impressive during the interview. So when you are making an application, okay, you can build a small mini product deck of yourself. Okay, now let's say you're applying for a role at let's say Facebook, means Facebook, or let's say you're applying for a role at Amazon. Okay, you are applying for a product manager role at Amazon. So when you are applying, what you can do is you can yourself go through the Amazon application and you can see that acha, this experience can be made better. Okay, so reviews, I'm able to see reviews. Okay, my focus is going on something else. So reviews can be made. Okay, and what all major changes can be brought into Amazon. Okay, so whenever you're making a payment, if there's one thing that you might have observed while making payments at Amazon, so whenever you make payments on Swiggy or on Zomato, so as soon as you click on UPI, all the UPI apps pop up. Okay, that is what we call intent based UPI, and you just have to click on this UPI apps and make the payment. There is no need for you to enter the complete UPI ID in case of Zomato, Swiggy. However, in case of Amazon, you have to enter the UPI ID. So that experience is slightly not that good. Okay, now when you're applying to Amazon, you can say that these are the problems that I came across as a user, and I think this can be worked out for a much better user experience. We can do this. Okay, and if we do this, this is what the experience will be like. Okay, so you can build product decks, and you can actually even attach them and send them to your manager. Okay, so that gets improves your chances of getting an interview call as well.
Great. Thank you very much for the kind suggestions and sharing a diverse set of knowledge that you have. Uh, so Salil, it is often said in India that product manager is like a mini CEO. Do you agree with that thought?
Yes.
And what
Yes,
do you
yes.
think about this?
Yes, Vedant, I completely agree. Now, like I have been saying through all this while. Okay, so the job of the developer is to ensure that he develops what he's done. The job of a designer, but the product works or not, that is my job. Okay, so that is my baby, that is my ownership. Okay, so it depends from company to company how the work culture is like, but the product management is the CEO of the product. Okay, and he is the one driving the product. And that is actually the exact role of a product manager. Though there are developers, though there are designers, though we have lawyers and accountants, in order to gel all of them and to ensure that your product is run. Okay, so your product runs very fine. That is, as a product manager, your responsibility.
Absolutely. We've seen data says that most of the high paying jobs are in product management. Most of the candidates studying in ISB or IIMs, wish to get into the roles of product management. So what, as a product manager, what is your insider thought on the salaries of product managers these days? Is it really one of the best in the industry, or what is it like?
Yeah, again, Vedant, it depends from company to company, but overall speaking, I think product managers are paid fairly well, okay, on a generic level. And if you love doing product management, I think salary is not something that you are going to be concerned about. So product managers are paid fairly well, in my opinion.
There's an aspect of product management that someone mentioned that when you go to a big company, you work on a section of a large product, or if you want to work on a large product, then you'll have to work in that company for years, then you'll get hold of that big product. While in startups, you may get a chance to work on a product right from the start. So what are your thoughts on what should one join in the beginning, startup or corporate, startup or big company?
Okay, so again, means I think if you join a startup, you have there's more hustle in a startup. Okay, there's no denying that. And if you are starting a career, okay, so now again, when you're joining startups, you have to you have to do a very good thorough background check of that startup, whether that startup is profitable, nicely sufficiently funded or not. Okay, once all of that things you've checked, okay, so you don't want to get into an unstable job. That's all I want to stay being in a startup. But as a career, I think the learning curve in startup is a lot more steeper than in established companies. Though I've been in established companies all these years, I think had I been in a startup, the learning curve would have been a slightly more steeper for me. So in the start, I think startups is definitely something one can consider.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much for sharing that. There are two questions Q&A section if you want to answer that, or maybe you have done that already.
I think we've done it. I think any course for best beginner or internship, Rohit, like I said, means just follow the YouTube channel that I just suggested to you, and follow Shravan on LinkedIn. Okay, so you'll get a lot of material. You'll get a lot of material from that. Okay, and any course suggestions, I think the answer to that is also pretty much the same.
Absolutely. Um, and I think we covered most of the aspects of product management, and yeah, the types of product management, the type of interview questions that are being generally asked, and the kind of project that one should work on. And yes, so you know, proceeding us to the end of the session, I would invite you, Salil, to give us a brief set of advice on please advise me as a student. What should I do? What should I work on during my days at college so that I can get a good job in product management?
Okay. So I think a good starting point to this is you can read a book called Inspired. Okay, so Inspired is a very good book, and I think most product managers and all product managers should read that book. It is a very nice book. And once you are done with that, while you are in college, start networking with people who are working in product roles in your dream companies or in the companies that you want to join. Okay, network with them over LinkedIn while you are in your college. Okay, try to understand. Okay, yeah, sure. So the book name is Inspired. I'll write it away here. Inspired. Okay, so so what you can do is you can network with people who are in product and the companies that you want to join. Then be a very keen observer. Whenever you're using any application, see actually, what all things that can I improve in this app. Okay, you should at least have those thoughts starting to hit you. And once you've done that, means once you're into the pre-final year, the final year of engineering or in MBA, you can start building up your resume. You can start actually building a product. Okay, so you can build a product decks. If you go to LinkedIn, okay, so I can means there are many product decks that you can refer that people have already posted. So create a similar deck ki if you join this company or if you join the startup, this is how you will make their life easier. Okay, and get a hang of all productivity tools as well. Since as a product manager you deal with multiple things, okay, you start being organized ki, acha, this is the time that I want to allot to this specific task. And then just start applying, start giving interviews, and just take feedback from those interviews irrespective of the interview gives you the feedback or not. Just start learning from those interviews. What are the questions asked? Means just work on those answers, and I think that should help you. That should help you.
Perfect. I think uh,
Sure.
we covered most of the aspects. And before closing this session, I would like to tell everyone that we have a session scheduled next to this career talk series in this career talk series, which is by Parth Saparwal, who is a VC venture capitalist. So he will uncover the aspect of venture capitalism and how to get a job in venture capital. And Salil, thank you very much for taking your precious time. Thank you very much for sharing us your insights, your knowledge about product management. I wish you well, and I thank you a lot, for this session.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to interact with so many interesting people. Thank you.
Great. Thank you,
Okay,
thank you,
all the best,
everyone.
everyone. Yeah.
Sure. Let us close the session. Here's a feedback and certificate form. Please fill this form so you can get your certificate of attendance. And please feel free to send us a feedback about this session.